Hi and welcome to this video on Any Weather Builds. This is Any Weather Builds live because I really want to make a couple builds. The first build I really want to make is a movement build, prioritizing Anthonam, which is a very fun movement exotic, and also a very good ammo printer. Where is Anthonam? Should be in the front. Yep, there it is. Because Anthonium is a rocket-assisted grenade launcher, it has the ability to launch you. And because it's a primary weapon, it has the ability to launch you infinitely, because all you have to do is reload it. Because of that, I'm going to be using that to make my first build. Like I said, I'm going to be making 3 builds: a good movement build, a good sword build, and the third one, hopefully I can get a viewer while this is going, so I can ask them what they would want to see. Because, like in any weather build, it is how you can make builds. And the cool thing about this video is any weather is now all weather, because there is not going to be constant updates to this game anymore, and this is going to add a whole lot more to the any weather system, or the build system, but any weather itself, because that's going to take a whole lot more to it. Uh, but it's more all weather builds. And if you did not know, any weather build is for any weather, any season, that general thing. Because unless something gets nerfed specifically, it will always be the same. And typically, I don't actually do anything with that, but because these are going to always be a thing, I'm actually going to use them now. Did not mean to put that up. And I already do know the first bits I'm wanting to put on this build, which is going to be this and line round parts to allow the double up on high, consistent, and continuous movement. Actually, to make this more simple, I'm going to start off with my support build and then work from there. Because I already do like the build or the stats on my support build, so I'm going to work from there. And I have not actually found a good armor set bonus that I really like, so I haven't really bothered trying to do the new armor. I've only really kept the armor that I've always had. Bleh. I do think I'm going to want to use stasis for the glacial grenade, because that will allow me to place down walls to help other people move with me, but don't know that exactly yet. I will be heading to the firing range because this is all about movement. And the best way to see movement is to do movement. And the interesting thing about this is that it is going to really matter about how I want to do things. Because, like, for an example, I could use Prismatic for Thruster, because Thruster, you can now use it in the air to give me that little bit of extra movement, which could go a long way. And the reason why I am putting this together is because movement is something that can come in real handy, and when I'm just messing around on a destination, being able to move around will be very handy. If I actually hit my shots. The distance you can get is incredible. But the downside to this is that you can accidentally kill yourself very easily, even though that technically was an accident. And because this is any weather builds live, I'm actually wanting to show off the build system that I do, or the build process. I typically start with a weapon or an idea. Like this idea is movement, prioritizing that above anything else, which is why I am testing out different things here and there, like the combination of Lion Ramparts, Athenaeum, and Thruster. Don't know if they're exactly what I'm wanting to bring into this build, but they are something that can really come in handy. Okay, uh, a little bit about Titan movement. The lift itself, you can activate and deactivate it in the air. When you reactivate it after deactivating it, you will have a like halved distance on how far you can go. I can actually just show you it. That's about halved comparatively to just letting it go. I hope that was pretty obvious. Or deactivate, activate. I touched the ground. That there we go. Gonna get right there where I thought I would, versus just launching. I can go all the way over here. It's about halved just by deactivating and reactivating it. But say for an example, I wanted to do a little bit extra movement, and the reason why I'm talking about that is because that really comes in handy when you accidentally press a button and you don't really want to, trying to get distance, because this movement is all based off of one button, the jump button. And if you did not know, since I'm making a movement build, the Titan, Hunter, and Warlock, Titan has the most impact with this, Warlock has the second most, Hunter has the least most, depending on the movement you use. But all Titan, all Warlock does have to keep this in mind when it comes to movement. And specifically the different lifts, which is why I'm saying those different jumps do impact this. If you have strafe hunter jump, this also impacts it. But all the movement is based off of your jump input and when on the arc of the jump you do it. Like if you tap tap, you go straight up. If you tap, wait for you to start going back down, you float basically right in place, and so on and so on when it comes to the momentum. And with that, you can do sideways movement to have even more control over when you go and how you go, which can really come in handy depending on where you want to go and how you want to go. And then all that movement, all that very technical talk, comes in real handy in combat situations because you're going to be able to use, say, the stomp mechanic of a boss, launch yourself away because that is a lot of momentum, keep shooting, and so on and so on and so on because of how you want to do it. All about this game is how you want to do it, what you want to bring into the combat situation, what weapons, what armor, what exotics, what build. All that is up to you, but the core fundamentals are across the board when it comes to momentum transfer. Hunter can't really momentum transfer all that well unless you're doing like Shatterscape or something like that. The jump doesn't really allow momentum transfer. Warlock's same thing ish, but can still allow some momentum transfer. Titan with lift or strafe lift, all momentum transfer. And I mean all of it. So if you get punted by one of the shield guys, you're getting punted. But cool. That is what I wanted to test. That was like the build up. I wanted to test that because the speed I got there. Ooh, that was actually a lot of speed comparatively. Another thing about Titan movement is that you're able to build it up. I call it like a train maneuver where you're able to chugga chugga chugga. The first jump is not going to be that speedy. And then if you do it again and again and again, you're going to get a little bit more speed that does top off. Where you are kind of the fastest character in this game, unless you're using Eager Edge or something to give them even more speed. But just base movement, Titan is the fastest. Okay, that is a little bit faster than Train, I believe. Yeah, that is a little bit faster than just base Train. Ooh, okay. Wonder if that resets the distance you can get with lift. Nope, can't reactivate it in the air. Okay, so that can just give me that little extra bump, and if needed, instant nope. Okay, that's pretty. Just instant absolute nope. Hell yeah. And that can come in handy because boing, boom, boom. Ooh! Okay! I am liking that. How fast can I actually... Okay, so I can do it too fast where I don't get the height. Okay, I am rocking thruster. Can do. That is pretty. Okay, this build is primarily made for movement, not even combat. So what the hell am I gonna rock? And I'm saying that out loud, even though I typically just have that as an internal monologue, because it doesn't really matter all that much. I think that would work the best overall. And the reason why I'm actually going to be rocking Diamond Lance is because of what Diamond Lance can bring to the table. Like, for an example, having Diamond Lance allows me to, one, proc it on the Athenaeum kill, two, being able to have an instant, nope, I want that. Sure, I have to have the Diamond Lance in my hand, but I typically will. That is something that sucks about the physics of this game. Sometimes when you hit water, explosive things like that will not actually trigger. Because it is literally the water here. And it has to be at a specific angle for it to work like that. Because you can even hear it when I splash. See, the physics in this game are actually pretty cool. I do wonder if I can make the Diamond Lance, launch myself, and grab it. Hell yeah! Ooh. Okay, that is not something I'm going to want to do a whole lot, but being able to do... Really? Okay, that's kind of lame. If you did not notice that, using Thruster turns off your Diamond Lance. It just negates it. That's kind of lame. Wonder, since it does deactivate, could I... No, I can't slam mid-thrust. That's kind of lame. Okay. I think I'm just going to stick with that. I have no clue what any of this is going to be, so I am going to just clear that all out. And I don't know what super I'm going to rock either. And to be honest, this build is not going to be able to be used with any of this, because none of this is going to be applicable. All this is combat oriented, where this build is just going to be movement oriented. Which does sound weird to make an entire build in a combat oriented game not for combat, but I have so many build slots that I don't know what to do with. Like half of these, literally like half, are not being used. All of these are not used. Sure, they do have bits on them, but they're literally like placeholders for different builds I already have. Except for that one, actually. That one is a build I want to keep. But everything else. Like, that was actually my previous movement build that is kind of obsolete ish because of the new update that brought so many different things across the board for this game. And that's why I had it as beta, because it was a beta test, an idea. Okay. Something I do want to see. So, boom, 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 boom. Can give me a good bit of distance if needed, but those are mostly going to be a oh shit mechanic. Like, okay, can't do that and thrust instantly. Mm. Okay, so am I just better off using... I'm better off just using that. Because I'm not planning on using that for damage, and I can instantly fly out of it. Okay, that I think is going to be it. If I just up my melee cooldown, I'll be able to use that basically indefinitely. Cool. Literally. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, that ain't going to be worth it. Don't know what else I would put there, but that ain't really going to be worth it. Now, not that much faster, all things considered. Like, that cut off like a second, possibly half a second. Okay. That is a good timing for that. Okay. Part of making a build is finding out the tempo that you're wanting to build off of. Having that tempo as the base thing, you're going to do a whole lot, which is why I personally do not care about the stats overall. Because, sure, over 100 you're doing more damage with each one, but you don't really need to. It is handy, but you don't really need to. All I personally care about is the tempo, how fast it recharges for the specific build. Like this build, because I really am liking the Shatter Strike or Shiver Strike, I'm going to be using that as the basically engine to get me to move a little bit faster. On top of Thruster to allow me to move even a little bit faster. So I have both of them to allow me to get from point A to point B a little bit faster, which is this entire build's shtick. One of the coolest things about Prismatic is that you can actually use these simply for stats, which is why I have my PvP build as Prismatic just for the stat boosts. And this build is basically fully set. I don't know what I would use the energy or heavy slot for, but overall it's basically all together. This is just build one of three. Don't really think there's anything I really need for any of these, so I am just putting on what's useful. And when there really isn't anything useful, I'm just going to leave it as it is. I tried to put it as PvE, went a little bit too far. PV, there we go. Shit, I wanted the Lost Sector logo. There it is, and now color coded, I pass it. There we go. Color coded. And now, the second build I want to make is a very good sword build. Now, I did have a very fun sword build with the lightsaber, but because of the changes to Stronghold, it doesn't work anymore. Like, at all, doesn't work. Because all of it is now only with heavy sword, which really sucks. I have to use a heavy sword for half of that to work, or the half that I really care about. But the beautiful thing about playing this game, as much as I have, I already got one of the catalysts. What am I doing? And the catalyst is one that is going to come in real handy for this build, the Lament. Now, I don't have it unlocked at all when it comes to charging it up, but that is going to be very easy. All I gotta do is find my Lament. There you are. I can actually start with the lightsaber build for the cosmetics and stuff and go from there. I do think that there is a artifact mod that on grenade kill gives you heavy ammo or something like that. Assume it's in one of the ones I haven't actually looked in. I've been hearing about something that allows you to get uh, heavy ammo. Mm. That's pretty. Okay. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so if I can keep that going, I never gotta worry about shit. At least when it comes to damage, because I have that, which is amazing. Also, I don't know if this is a glitch, but if you hold a button that allows you to see the elements and stuff like that, and then scroll off of those, you can actually let go of the button, at least on console, and allow you to do everything still. So you don't actually have to hold the button down, which is incredibly handy. And to go through my thought process, because that is what this entire video is for, I am trying to figure out a good glaive to have as my second melee alternative. Because my primary weapon that I'm wanting to have is my sword, but it's a heavy M weapon, so I'm going to use it more sparingly, but that is going to be the primary thing I'm going to be doing. Uh, but I'm going to want to use a glaive as my main thing. Technically, kind of overbuilding this because what that. Oh no, that's just Scourge. I thought that gave me extra health. Oh. Oh shit. I'm gonna be able to cause ignitions on top of weaken, so double things, and because that's anti barrier on top of that. Ah, okay, I'm going to be deleting things. This is not being overbuilt. I thought it was to an extent. Okay. Well, as I was saying, I'm trying to find a good void glaive. Something that gives me the ability to proc overshield and all the different doodads that I want. Technically, I could just rock that. And then have a different glaive. Because we'll be able to proc volatile rounds, and then I'll be able to keep it going. And just have a good kinetic glaive, because that's a good kinetic glaive. Okay, let me see how this functions. Because with that, I'll be able to use the melee portion of that with the glaive to allow me to always apply weaken to keep it going. And then whenever needed, I swap to my sword. Okay. Oh, I did not know that. Oh, this is why I love the build crafting in this game. That not volatile, that weakened little sprite basically counts as avoidability. And because of that, the fact that I put on this means that void ability now procs volatile on top of weaken to allow it to just explode beautifully. Okay then. Uh Damn. Don't know why I have to go to my melee for that. Okay, why is it not applying volatile now? Was it just too close? It applied volatile previously. Do I need volatile rounds for that to work? No, don't need volatile rounds for that to work. Okay. Well, this build is something I'm going to be using a lot. Damn. Do want faster ready and stow and faster reload. Okay. Because of this build and what I've already figured out, I am going to take this into a higher end activity. Something kind of funky, though. Melee hits with that. Maybe it just means glaive. Because that should work with anything. Do want to test one thing before going to another thing. Does that increase that melee damage? 59. Gonna let that just out. Yeah. It does increase that. Okay, that's really good to know. How much damage does this do? A lot. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go into a higher end activity to test this out because I do really like taking these into higher end activities to get the full feeling of what they can do. I don't know which way that goes, because just by reading it, it could be the generation stat of the weapon, which means if you say a void weapon, getting a kill with that will give you more stat towards heavy and special ammo generation. Or it could be if you have a void heavy weapon, that weapon now has increased ammo generation across the board. Don't know which way that goes, but I'm just going to do that. Here's where having a viewer would come in real handy, because I would ask them, what legendary campaign do you want me to take this in? Hopefully, I get a viewer by the time I'm done really testing out this build. You know what? I'm just gonna go from here. I don't even know what level this is, or mission, or even where I'm at. And hell, why didn't it reset? I thought progress like that resets every weekly. Huh. I'll take it, you know?
Hurry up. Those things safe. Can't be that.
Oh, that is an amazing voice line. Can't be that all.
Here goes nothing. This is Neptune? There's a whole city here. An entire civilization. I've got a ping on Osiris's coordinates. Let's find it.
You on the road. Identify yourself. Are you with the invaders?
We're guardians from the last city.
Light bearers.
We're fighting the same enemy. We're here to find something called the Veil.
Shipments and I are a little pinned down right now. We'll be there soon. Stay frosty, Terrence.
Okay, yeah, this build feels amazing. Damn. Damn. An extra damn. Just because.
Where are these ugly things coming from? There's no end to them.
We always thought we were the last ones left. Wait until the Vanguard hears about this. No time for that now. If we don't stop the Shadow Legion, there won't be any city left.
Guardian, I'm up here. I think the Cabal know I'm here. Hello? What's going on out there?
Osiris, I'm detecting an anomaly on my sensors. We'll check it out while the coast is clear.
Understood. Patiently note that it is quite confined in here.
Okay, I don't actually want to grab that doodad because I want to keep the void build. But I have realized something. I don't actually need that at all. So I don't really know what I'm going to put there instead. I think that's kind of the best thing I can get. Well, this build is just kind of perfect. Damn. The downside to being a Titan main is that when I try and make a good looking armor set, it's surprisingly hard. Because, like, that's pretty good. I don't like how that doesn't look, like, aesthetically. Doesn't match all of this, but it's still not that bad, comparatively trying to figure out something for, say, this. And the reason why that's hard is because the shoulder pads are so thick. They're not like big and bulbous, but it makes the shoulders look a lot bigger than they actually are. Same with like the forearms, so trying to blend chest, legs, and head all to that general body shape is very hard. And I know that that's just a me problem, but I do genuinely like doing what I do. Yeah, that actually looks pretty fucking cool. I was not expecting that to look how cool it does. Okay. I love shaders in this game. It changes so much about everything. Okay. And now, gonna run this. I would need to be able to weaponize my trip for that. Fuck it. I'm gonna run a solo pinnacle. Fuck it. I don't think this is going to work the greatest, but I'm gonna do it. I really like the coil personally. Now, you know what? No modifiers. Let's do this.
How does it work anyway? Raising a ghost. I mean, spirit.
Ahamkara are an anomaly unto themselves, a warp in the fabric of reality. In death, their stamp lingers upon the world. It is a matter of drawing the essence of what remains into a coalescence of her original form. Powerful, but still diminished.
And perfectly harmless.
Okay, I have found out the very big detriment to this build. The thing it's not really good at, and not every build can be good at everything, so I'm okay with it. But I still really lack range. Oh. Okay. Okay, I just figured out how to counteract the range problem. Just don't give a shit. Okay. You know, I am a Titan main.
These braziers stabilize the pathways of the confluence, much like ascendant beacons in the ley lines.
Everything's purple. I fucking love it. The power of the purple. Taste the grape. Okay, yeah, this build, if I do my cards right, is kind of busted. Okay. Okay, holy shit. I love seeing my health bar dance like that. Not gonna lie, that was beautiful. Okay, I thought I was gonna kind of struggle doing this. I don't know if I'm going to. That's genuinely kind of impressive. I am actually going to struggle a little bit with a boss. But besides that, not really. Specifically, it's the boss where I have to get the buff that if it goes out, I'll die, but I have to kill a guy to be able to cleanse it. That is right on the cleansing thing. And because I don't really got range, that's where I'm gonna really struggle. Okay, trying to get Devour and all that going mid-high combat is a bit of a tricky situation. Okay, so there is some wiggle room to have weaken on grenade hit. Because that is a very interesting problem. shit, forgot there was a pit there. Damn, these first shot hand cannons do a decent bit of damage. Okay. Decent's an understatement there, but damn. Okay, so I am missing a plate back here. Apparently I'm just blind and deaf because I even make a sound. Okay, then. Hopefully it's further up. They were all in this area. Okay. I genuinely wasn't expecting that, but hey. Fuck. That is what I get for spamming jump. I did actually intentionally pop my super simply for movement. Well, I actually tested all I want for this build. Gonna try my best to smack this boss, and then I'll call it. And this is the boss I was actually talking about when I said I might struggle here. Hell yeah! I don't know if I like the glaive exactly. Actually, I think the glaive is kind of the best choice, which kind of sucks. Well, if I had a viewer while this was live, I would have asked them, what's the third build you want me to make, because I don't actually know what a third build I would want to make is. But, since that ain't gonna happen, I am going to call it. With all that said, Shona down, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Technically, I won't see or hear y'all. I was gonna say that, one of the two, but you'll hear me.